And we are live. NFL opening line report. He's Teddy Covers. I am Drew Martin. Getting back to our bread and butter, Teddy. We're talking NFL. Welcome in, buddy.
I'm telling you, as you say those words, you know, the little hair in the back of your neck starts tingling a little bit. You know, the concept of NFL's 2 weeks away, man. You know, I mean, it literally is right around the corner. And from all indications, it looked like it's going to happen. So the time has come to shift our focus. And look, you know, we're still working baseball. We're still working NBA. The NBA has been great. But the focus shifts as we get to the late August into September. And we're in that stage right now where NFL not on center stage. It will be soon.
You are right, Teddy. And it's been fun talking MLB, NBA, but this is the bread and butter of the show, what people have come to love and enjoy each and every Monday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific time, right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Can also download the podcast as well. Check out sportsmemo.com at Teddy_covers on Twitter. Guys, NFL season win total report. Going to want to listen up here. 88-40. Yes, that's right. 88-40, 69% win rate. That goes all the way back to 2001. It's not all backloaded where he kind of racked up the wins either. A lot of this is in the last decade. 13-3 with his big ticket releases. Also, only 4 losing seasons going all the way back to 2001. And guess what, guys? He's coming off of a losing season, and he's never had back-to-back losing seasons. So a lot pointing here towards Teddy Covers season win total report. You're going to want to check it out, sportsmemo.com, and it's likely going to be released within the next 15 days, right, Teddy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at next Tuesday as my target date. As we get closer, we'll look. Things are just coming together in training camps right now. We don't have the preseason games, and I'm coming off a losing season, so I'm not rushing this report. Like you said, I've never had back-to-back losing seasons, 88-40 long-term. It's been a very good report for a number of years, and I'm hungry and focused to make sure it stays a very good report for a number of years. So the target date, again, is next Tuesday. As we get closer, I'll be able to say, yes, we're definitely going to go next Tuesday. It might end up being later in the week. It might be the following week, right after Labor Day. But without the preseason games to focus on, and we have no preseason this year, it's a little bit of a different strategy for this win report. The information's coming out a little bit more guarded because you don't have the actual ability to see the teams on the field and say, yeah, that coach is full of shit.
Right.
You know, this offensive line is not gelling. No, it isn't. Without that, and this is not going to be a year where there's going to be 6, 7, 8 teams on the win report. I would expect a relatively short report. I've got my short list already, and we're digging on a daily basis right now. So again, I'm hoping for next Tuesday. That's the goal. If I have questions about things that need to be answered, I'm going to push it back a little bit. But as you mentioned, Drew, the track record's real good. And even last year, which it was a losing season, it was a frustrating losing season. At least I was going through, you know, I was just reliving everything preparing for the show. And I'm like, man, that was frustrating. Man, that, you know, there were a number of teams that by the end of the year were playing exactly where I thought they were going to be. But still, you know, I had the Eagles over 10 wins. They won the division. They didn't get there. You know, I had the Raiders under. They stunk, but they won. They had that little hot streak in the middle that killed me. You know, I had Carolina over. They played better than expected, and Newton got hurt. And I mean, there were a number of frustrating instances last year from losers. But, you know, Niners over was still there. And the bottom line is, it's not about looking in the rearview mirror. The track record's good, but it's about what kind of work can you do for 2020. I like where I am in the process right now. I'll just leave it at that.
All right, he's hungry. And guys, want to repeat it again. 88-40, 69% win rate since 2001. Never had back-to-back losing seasons. Only 4 losing seasons total. So, and that goes back to 2001, and he's off of a losing season. 13-3 big tickets. Teddy, before we get to the week one, what do you got, man?
Oh, so of the 4 losing seasons, one of them was juiced. It was a 3-3, but I lost on the juice. So I've actually 3 seasons where the win reports haven't at least been 500 or less. But the juice is a losing season. I mean, we count it, but it wasn't a bad. Last year was a bad losing year with the win totals. That has been few and far between. I do not expect a reoccurrence.
All right, Teddy. Well, 88-40 speaks for itself, man. Heck of a job. I'll be on it personally, guys. Check it out, sportsmemo.com, within the next 2 weeks. And guys, for this show, we're going down the week 1 odds right now, get Teddy's breakdown. And then we're going to go over the season wins as well, quick hit those. So, heck, 2 weeks out, like you said, Teddy. So this is kind of crunch time here, preparing for the NFL. I guess we got first game up here, 4-5-1, 4-5-2. September 10th, we got Houston and Kansas City. We're talking the Texans and the Chiefs here. We're seeing the Chiefs -10, -9.5 is out there, but mostly -10 in Arrowhead. Looks like 54.5 being the total.
Sure. So one of the things I do is I track numbers. And the last time we did, I think, a true NFL opening line report was May 8th. And I wrote down all the numbers for May 8th. 2020.
Okay.
And I said, what's going to happen is these numbers are going to sit there all summer and they're not going to move, and we're not going to do another opening line report for a little while. As you go down the line, okay, I'm going to give you the numbers from May 8th, and you're going to give the numbers from today, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
Okay. So KC was 10-56 on May 8th, and today they're 10-55. So we have a little bit of under money. And we may well see a little bit more under money. If you like the under in this game, that's one that you probably want to bet earlier rather than later. We are seeing some leading indicator books already down to 54.5 and 54.5 to the under. But sidewise, this game's done nothing all summer, and I don't think it's going to do that much before kickoff either. 10-56 to 10-55 is what has moved since, May 8th, June 8th, July 8th, in the last 3+ months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Teddy, I have a quick question here, because as we see DraftKings, FanDuel come into the marketplace, and some others, and you mentioned the leading indicator books. Do either of those two have any kind of influence on how you're going about your market breakdown?
So the leading indicator books are largely offshore.
It's Chris and Pinnacle?
You got it.
Okay.
When Chris and Penny start taking money, then other places tend to take money soon after.
Interesting.
Chris and Penny continue to be market leaders in that regard, and that's where the biggest bets are made.
Okay. And guys out there, if you're new to sports betting, Chris is it's CRIS, Costa Rican International Sportsbook, and Pinnacle, both offshore sports books here. Whereas we try to stick to the onshore, the legal market here. So next game up, we got Miami, New England Patriots. We're seeing the Patriots -7 at Pinnacle, -6.5 at DraftKings, 43.5 being the total.
Yeah, I mean the penny's 7, but the 7 plus 115. So
okay,
it grades out as 6.5. And guess what? On May 8th, it was the Patriots 6.5 and 43, and now the Patriots are 6.5 and 43.5. Now, recognize on May 8th, New England didn't have the 8 guys who opted out. They didn't have Cam Newton. And the markets have said for all of that, it's worth nothing.
And Teddy, I mean, well, in your opinion, what my question was going to be, I mean, you add Cam Newton and you have 8 guys opt out. Is that a positive or a negative?
So I wrote up a free play on the Patriots. I don't even remember when I wrote it up. I'm like, this line should go to 7. It's a good I think Miami's overvalued coming into the season. But it didn't have anything about Cam Newton. It didn't have anything about the guys opting out in it.
Yeah.
So clearly, the quarterback position is the most important position in the NFL. Okay, and to have a QB who you trust in Cam Newton as opposed to a QB who we didn't in Gerard Stidham, that's worth a lot. That said, the guys the Patriots lost, I mean, glue guys, locker room guys, special teams guys, defensive stalwarts. That said, in Belichick we trust, and the markets are showing us that very clearly here. Despite the Patriots' losses, the markets are basically pricing them the same way they did before those guys opted out and before Newton signed. So the addition of Newton and the subtraction of the 8 opt-outs has graded out to a net 0 in the betting markets, at least as of right now.
And Teddy, is the 8 opt-outs, is that league high? And what would you say the average is for each team?
Oh, yeah, that's league high.
Okay.
I think so. I mean, the average is a couple. I mean, it's not. I don't think there's another team like New England that suffered as many key losses.
Okay, we got Cleveland and Baltimore up next. Seeing the Ravens anywhere about 8.5. I'm seeing seems to be the consensus number, with 48.5 being the total.
May 8th, Baltimore. I have 8.5/9. It was a split line then. It's a split line now.
Yeah.
8.5, 9 total. Then it was 49. Now we're looking at 48.5. There's still plenty of 49s out there. I mean, that's a game that hasn't moved in 3+ months.
Surprising or no?
Not. As I said when we did the pod in May, these numbers are going to sit. And with no preseason, they're really – I mean, so what happens – when you have preseason games, is the betting markets overreact to everything they see. It's one of the things that you'll love is that, some first string will be coming. A coach will leave his first stringers on the field week 1, or it's even more obvious week 2. In week 2, a coach will have his first string offense on the field, and they'll be playing against a team that's playing no starters, and they'll get 2 touchdowns. On back-to-back drives. The market go, wow, that offense is killing it. That team's going to be great. And they take week 1 money, and they take money over their win totals, and it wasn't even starters against starters. It was or you just find a case. One coach is game plan, the other coach isn't. The coach will game plan. Their team looks really good, and the other team doesn't. And you say, oh, the other team's really bad. No, they're not. The overreactions are what I missed from the preseason. We're not going to get those obviously this year, unfortunately, but we'll have to make do with the lines that we have.
All right, Teddy. We got AFC East up next. 4-5-7. 4-5-8. We got New York Jets, Buffalo Bills here, seeing the Bills -6 and a low total, just 40.
And 3 months ago, the line was Buffalo -6 and the total of 40.
Wow. You called it, Teddy.
I'm right there, right here.
Well, next game up, we got our Las Vegas Raiders versus the Carolina Panthers, seeing 47 the total, -1 in the hook. That's the Raiders.
And this one moved a little bit, because this opened Pick'em and sat at Pick'em for a little bit. Although this was May 8th, within a week or two after this, it was Raiders -1, 1.5, where they are now.
Okay.
But yeah, total for the back then was 46.5. Now we're seeing 47s. Oakland's offense has excited some who've been watching the practices. I'll say that much. Raiders are the early reports on the Raiders. They're taking lots of deep shots. And their young, their young receiving core is built for big plays. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing a little bit of over money there. That's one that we could see more over money, especially with Carolina potentially starting as many as 7 new players on defense.
Okay. Good points there, Teddy. And guys, welcome in on the chat box. Got a bunch of guys chiming in here. What is up, Brian Harris? Welcome in, man. Mike Campbell in the house. And NBA playoff basketball is here, Mike, and we got the NBA show coming up here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Nick, welcome in, and Steamy Nicks, welcome in. A couple questions here, Teddy. From Nick, how hesitant are you to bet teams with new head coaches in week 1?
Extremely hesitant.
Okay.
I will be looking to fade teams with new coaches, particularly teams with new coaches. Don't forget the coordinator angles.
Yes.
Because that's where the offense and defense are truly designed. So, in particular, teams with new coordinators might be I'm not backing any of them week 1. I'll put it that way. There'd be fade or pass.
Okay, and question for you, Teddy. You mentioned, going deep with the Raiders there. Another thing, I was talking with Tony Miller just yesterday here from the Golden Nugget. I believe the NFL is going to full pads today is the first day. So that's not a lot of tackling practice, how coaches are going to handle that. Does that make you lean towards looking towards the over just because defense and practicing tackling is a big part of the game?
So week 1 historically has been an under week, and you will often see the betting markets particularly dominated, in games that it's a largely wise guy betting market. You tend to see under money in those games. This year may be different. Mm-hmm. Okay. Without any preseason, however, I would think that the think about those first few preseason games. where, the offense makes a lot of mistakes and can't get out of their own way. And, and then that's very normal and very predictable. And then by week 3, they're supposed to straighten it out. And week 3 preseason games fly over. Tackling is an issue, but regular season offensive form is equally an issue. So I'm not convinced that one dominates the other. And I'm not looking at week 1 saying, well, the fact that no one can tackle makes up for the fact that no one has their offense in regular rhythm yet. I grade the two together as a wash. And I'm looking at Steamy Nick saying he got Raiders at plus 1.5 from FanDuel. Good number. You'll never see that number again.
Yeah, I mean, plus 1.5 down to minus 1.5. Switch favorite there.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Raiders closed 3 in that game.
Okay,
good. Have we got to that game yet? Yeah, we just did that game.
Yeah.
And, and again, I'm not giving out my. Normally on an opening line report, I'm giving out my power rating numbers. My power rating numbers, I haven't gone through and adjusted everything through the beginning of camp. I've been waiting. So I haven't done a full adjustment. So if I gave you my powering numbers here, they'd be a little bit stale. So I'm leaving off. But I had Oakland, I think 2.5 over Carolina, and initially that was one of the bigger differences that I had.
Okay. And Teddy, good point there with the tackling and also the offense. Being behind the defense, and we see that in the NFL, also in college football. You can go down to high school football. It's even probably more pronounced the younger you go here with just defense being ahead of offense early in the season. For whatever reason, in the sport of football, it seems to be kind of a prevailing thing that happens. But this year in particular, with 2 weeks of actual practice, that's the only time that they're allotted on tackling. I think it is going to be something to watch out here and talk about the changes in the 2020 season. I'm going to lay off a bet at many unders week 1.
Sure. I mean, I expect to do. I don't expect to play a lot of totals week 1. I really don't.
Too many unknowns.
A lot of unknowns. Again, there have been 3 sides. The 3 plays that I put up whenever they were. I don't remember what I put. All 3 plays I still really like. I think they're good bets. I expect them to win. None of them were on totals. And as of this moment, you say what's your lean on this total, what's your lean on that total. Week 1 totals. My over/under on how many week 1 totals I bet is a half.
Okay.
I might get involved. If I find one, I might get involved. But it's not like I'm going to be loading up on the. And it might be a run of unders. It might be a run of overs. There's a lot of question marks, and total wise in particular. And that's where you start really, reading those practice reports as thoroughly as you can find them. But even that doesn't necessarily tell you how the game's going to look.
For sure, Teddy. We got next game up, Seattle and Atlanta, 461, 462 here. Looks like -1 or -1.5. That's Seattle laying on the road, 49 being the total here, Teddy.
And the total, side total from May 8th, Seattle -1, total 49. Hasn't moved an inch. Not an inch.
You called it, man. Philadelphia
again without these preseason games. There's nothing. Normally they'll sit all through July. They'll sit all through June. They get popped at the opener and in late April and into May, and then they sit all June and sit all July. And then when August starts and the games start, you'll see the line start bouncing around. Without the games, that's not happening. It's just not happening this year. So they could sit like this for another week or 2. It wouldn't shock me.
Okay. We got Philadelphia, Washington up next. Eagles -6, 44.5 the total.
Line from May 8th was Philly -6/6.5, total 45. So we really haven't seen much.
Okay.
Chicago. The guy took down the post. He was saying all this shit that it was just about selling plays. Yeah, this is about selling plays. Absolutely, I'm looking to sell packages. That being said, I give out every piece of info that I have on the show without any questions. So there's free content, and those who want to purchase packages can purchase them. This isn't a hard sell show. I'm not. You gotta buy. No, never. It's like I'll give out everything I got, and the people that want to purchase can purchase, and it's just that simple. So, we'll give out a couple of promos during the show, but is the show entirely about selling? No, the show's about info. We have a little bit of salesmanship. What do we have to do? We got to pay the bills.
Sports betting. The key to it is information. So hopefully we're giving it out here. And thank you for joining us, guys. 10 a.m. Pacific time each and every Monday. NFL opening line report right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Also download the podcast at sportsmemo.com or wherever you download your podcast at. Chicago, Detroit up next. Teddy, we got the Bears catching 1.5 on the road, 44 being the total in the Motor City.
You already know what it was, Drew. 1.5 and 44. And this was the one I remember talking about, saying that when you look at the Lions schedule, this game is triple circled. It's, they're a brutal front half of the campaign for Detroit. And I said I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions take wise guy money. And I'm continuing to see nothing but negative. Nobody likes the Bears. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some Detroit money. But we haven't seen it yet.
We got Indianapolis, Jacksonville up next. We're seeing the Colts -7 on the road here. New quarterback in town. 45.5 being the total.
And again, from May 8th, Indy -7/7.5, total 46. So it is a firm 7 now, although it was really a firm 7 then. I am seeing a couple of 6.5. So I'm not surprised. And for a crappy team, and Jacksonville is at the bottom of the NFL talent-wise. Everything I've read about Jacksonville is positive. I think they might be a nice little moneymaker for us, catching points every week. I think they're going to be a competitive team. I don't think they're going to be bottom feeders.
Yeah, Teddy, I mean, one thing going into this season, I don't think the bottom, and I think you were the one that said this on our last NFL opening line report, and it kind of struck something with me. I don't think the bottom of the NFL is as low as has been in years past. What do you think about that?
Maybe. But again, it's don't forget that we're still so early in the process. By the time the season starts, there's going to be a team that's an injury-riddled mess, and another team is going to be a COVID mess. And, so you will see the bottom drop out of some of these squads. Hope springs eternal in August, just like hope springs eternal in spring training in February. As the injuries and attrition piles up, we'll see some real bottom feeders. But as of right now, the worst teams in the league all look better than they did last year. Every one of them. Cincinnati's going to be better than they were last year. Jacksonville's going to be better than last year. And you can go on and on down the line. So I agree with the basic assessment for sure that right now we don't have a lot of bottom feeders to bet against. That may not be the case a month from now.
Okay. And Teddy, who would you take, Phillip Rivers or Gardner Minshew this year? Who's the better quarterback in your opinion?
So that's an interesting question. And you got to take Rivers, but at the price you're going to be offered the two, you got to take Minshew.
Yeah, I don't think you got to take Rivers. I mean,
and even money, you got to take Rivers. You got to take the Hall of Famer with Reich. Reich is a good offensive mind.
Okay,
you got to, but it's not an even money bet. It's and Minshew is a leader. Minshew has been in competitive games everywhere he's won. And the team's buying into what he's selling for what it's worth. And Jacksonville has some interesting skill position talent. I don't know if they have anything resembling an offensive line or a running game. And those would really help.
Yeah, for sure, Teddy. We got Green Bay, Minnesota up next. Looks like the Vikings -3 in the hook at home, 45.5 being the total.
Vikings 3 in a hook, and the Vikings were 3 in a hook, 47. Hasn't moved.
All right.
A little bit of under money. 47 is now 46.5. But again, we're seeing, it's just 3.5 months or 3 months in a week and my numbers from May 8th, they're consensus numbers there, but they were valid a week earlier. These numbers are 3.5 months stale and they're still sitting there. So that's why I thought it's taking a little bit longer than I thought it would, but that's okay. It's what we do. But I figure we breeze through these, boom, boom, boom. But it hasn't worked out that way. That's okay.
All right, Chargers, Bengals up next. Chargers -3 in the hook, 45 the total.
Yeah, it was a full 3.5 earlier, 45.5 the total. Now we are seeing some threes pop up, but it's threes with juice. 3 -20. There's still 3.5s out there. That number might have moved, a nickel in favor. And again, the ones, if you note the ones that are moving, 6.5, 7.5, 7, 2.5, 3.5, the threes. It's all around the key numbers. That's all. It's someone's taking a 7.5 or someone's taking a 3.5, and it's not necessarily they have an opinion on the game. They're just locking in around key numbers.
Okay, got another key number here. Fascinating handicap, in my opinion. I think this is my favorite game on the board here, Teddy. 473, 474, Arizona Cardinals, San Francisco 49ers. We got 49.5 being the total, 47 being the total, and -7.5 mostly out there. And that's the 49ers laying at home.
And this was 8. This was an 8 and a 46 back in the day, but you could see the love for Arizona right from the get-go. That love is continuing for Arizona. Arizona is a very popular team in the offseason betting markets. They've gotten a lot of hype. They've gotten a lot of bets. They've gotten a lot of love, and that's why the 8's now down to 7 in a lot of. But then again, it's 7.5 in a lot of places too. So it's not like the markets are cratering on San Fran, although 49ers have issues at wide receiver right now. That's one thing that has stood out in the early training camp news. San Fran, there's an MRI today that is huge. Jalen Hurd is hurt. That's a big loss for that team.
Yeah, for sure. And Teddy, it's kind of like technical analysis in the stock market. As this line's dropping, do you think it gets to 7 and then it kind of bounces back, or could it steam through the 7 in your opinion?
One way line movement week 1. You don't normally see. Yeah, you don't normally see a lot of buy. Maybe right before it tip off or kickoff, I should say. But the way where the markets start to move, they're likely to continue to move. You could see some buyback. And again, we're giving incomplete information here. We're still a couple of weeks out. The week of the game, we'll have more information, and we could see some moves swing back the other way. But in general, when the broader market moves one way in a team, that's the way they're moving. In preseason action.
Yeah, and we got Chad in the chat box here saying, he likes Zona to improve, but too much hype here. Niners win by 10+. And kind of a broad question here for you, Teddy, bringing this in the chat box into this. Profile-wise in the NFL coming into week 1, the sexiest team in the NFL like Arizona in years past. Is the market usually right on that? Or
no, they're never right on that. They're right. Last year the markets loved Cleveland.
Right, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I can go back. If I went back year by year, I could find you the market, and it's not every team that the markets love, but it's fairly typical to see a team that gets an inordinate amount of hype struggle to meet that hype.
Okay. And appreciate the comments here in the chat box, guys. Throw more out there, and we'll answer them at the break. We got Tampa Bay in New Orleans up next. We got the Saints. Looks like -4 in the Big Easy, 49.5 being the total.
Yeah, this one's going down. Just so you know, it was 4.5, 49.5. And I'm seeing 3.5s out there. 4 is the prevailing number. The 3.5s are at the leading indicator books, and it really stands out as one where this line is shifting as we speak. If you like the Bucks, I bet them sooner rather than later. This should be, and again, I'm not putting emergency betting alerts. Doodle-you. Yeah. And normally during, when we do the show during the season every Monday, my goal is to tell you what line's going to get popped, and we give emergency betting alerts, and this line's not going to hold, and that line's not going to hold. I don't think the 4s are going to hold with the Saints, but the emergency part of it, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's next week, I can't tell you. I do think that line closes 3.5 or lower. Thanks, Daniel. That's really sweet. I appreciate that. And I have no problem with Brian. Brian Leonard has been – when I moved to Vegas in 98, Brian was literally the first guy that I met, like the first other handicapper that I met. We were both kind of in the same spot. He was starting his service. I was starting my service. I've counted Brian Leonard among my closest friends the entire time I've been here, and I have no hesitation being compared to him. So thank you, Daniel. I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah, Danny, and I've met Brian here in the last year since living in Las Vegas, and I second Teddy's words. Really nice guy in the industry. We got Dallas, L.A. up next. Teddy, we're seeing the Cowboys -2 in the hook on the road, 49.5 or 50 being the total.
Just real quick, while we're talking about I'll get to that in a minute, but we're just talking about the 49ers. And there was a question from Lord Craig Speck, asking about the credence to the Super Bowl hangover. And from a season win standpoint, there is. I'm not betting the Niners over. I don't bet teams that lose the Super Bowl over the total, their season win total the next year. From a week one standpoint, teams like San Francisco have been dismal ATS. So I'm not going to get involved with the Niners week one either. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if San Fran slaps them around, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if San Fran is one of the rarer teams that is able to survive a Super Bowl loser season and still be good the next year. I don't see a big drop-off from San Fran. When we talk about Dallas and the Rams, and this one, the money's been trickling all summer too. It was a 3-50, Dallas 3, and that 3 was gone by the end of that week. That 3 was mostly gone. It was mostly 2.5s out there. And now I'm just seeing the 2s popping up. So the Rams are not a popular team in the season win total marketplace. I haven't seen a whole lot of love for LA in that regard. But they're certainly taking sharp money week one against Dallas. I wonder if that's, and I don't know, but it might be some anti-Dallas sentiment in play, although everything we're reading from Dallas has been positive as well. They appear to have had a very good start to their training camp.
All right, Teddy, we got 2 Monday nighters here. We'll hit them both. Pittsburgh, New York Giants. We got the Steelers -3 in the hook on the road, 47 the total.
And this was 3.5, 47.5, 3.5 months ago. So it really hasn't moved a whole lot. And I'm not seeing that it will. If one of these two teams is going to take money, it's going to be Pittsburgh, I would think. It's one of those deals. If you like the Steelers, I don't think you find a 3 on this game. But why would you lock in a 3.5 now? I wouldn't. I was thinking maybe you take Pittsburgh now, but I wouldn't. And this is why. If you can get a 3, it's more important to get the 3 than it is bad to lose the 3.5 and get the 4. Capturing the 3, having that 3 in your pocket is more valuable. If you look at the trade-off, pro-con. Well, if I wait and lose the 3.5, I could get a 3, maybe, or I could get a 4 more likely. Even with the 4 more likely, the 4 means that you're turning a potential 4-point win if they win by 4 into a push at 4. You're not losing your bet. But at 3.5 versus 3, if you can capture that 3, you're turning a potential loser at 3 into a potential push, which is a huge deal. Does that make sense? I don't know if I explained that.
No, it makes sense. And I wanted to add on the fact that, not counting last year, but all the years before, the number landed on 3 more than it did on 4. So that would add credence.
3 is the keyer number than 4.
The keyer number. That was a good
games are decided in the NFL, but NFL final margins land on 3 more than any other number, and it's not really that close. Mm-hmm. The game-winning field goal, And of course, as you're rallying from behind, you score the touchdown, you go for 2, so you're only behind by 3, so you can kick the game-tying field goal. Lots of games in the NFL get decided by 3. Fewer get decided by 4. Hence why I would take a little. I was thinking about maybe to recommend, but no, I wouldn't recommend Pittsburgh yet. Even though I'm not seeing any signs the line's going to 3, maybe we see some Danny Dimes love.
In your opinion, is Danny Dimes for this year the better quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger?
I have no idea what to expect from Big Ben. Big Ben, we will read and we will watch. As of this moment, I could, A game Big Ben is pretty good. Big Ben, an aging, collecting the contract money Big Ben is not going to be good. Mm-hmm. And I don't know which one we're going to see. When you look at the Roethlisbergers and the Phillip Rivers and your Tom Brady's of the world, All three of them could easily be fades by midseason. All three of them could be bet against. Drew Brees might be in the same category. The older QBs, when they hit the wall, they hit the wall. And your coaches can do everything they can to try to, protect them. But there's at least some chance in a year without the normal offseason conditioning that some of these older QBs are going to absolutely fall off the cliff. And Roethlisberger might be one of them.
Sure, there's that chance, Teddy. But, I mean, we've also seen Peyton Manning went out winning the Super Bowl. Granted, a really good defense, but he did the job. Which guy do you think is the safest bet to have a good season?
Brees. Brees, everything's exactly the same for Brees. The coach is the same, coordinator's the same, the players are the same, the offensive line is loaded, everyone, he knows his own skill set. The coach knows his own skill set. Brees to me would be the one that, even though he's on the wrong side of everything. James Conner to me is I hate running backs. But the addition to Conner to that to the starting lineup for Pittsburgh is not even worth a tenth of a point. He is the ultimate replacement level RB. Juju, he's showing signs. Let him do it for 16 games. Pittsburgh could easily be an 11-5 team. They could easily be a 5-11. I would not be shocked if the Steelers ended up being significantly worse than projection, and I would not be shocked if they were significantly better than projection. Pittsburgh, I'll tell you flat out, I won't have a bet on the Steelers in week 1, and I don't have a win total bet on the Steelers. They're a team that, because of that disparity, Steelers' upside is Super Bowl caliber. Steelers' downside is 5-11 caliber. And those aren't the teams I'm looking to bet. Their defense was sick last year. We'll see if it's sick this year. Their defense won them a bunch of games last year, and they finished 8-8. And defense, you can't count on your defense to win a bunch of games every year. Again, what I'm looking for, particularly in win totals, is teams that don't have a great disparity between what their best possible performance is and what their worst possible performance is. And Pittsburgh has an enormous, they could, again, 11-5, 5-11. I wouldn't be shocked either way.
Talking about season win totals, Teddy, 88-40, 69%. That goes back to 2001. Only 4 losing seasons since 2001, and he's coming off of a losing season, guys. So buy opportunity there. Sportsmemo.com. Within the next 2 weeks, it will be released. 13-3 big tickets. Again, guys, 88-40, 69% win total there with Teddy Covers' season win total report. Check it out, sportsmemo.com. Teddy, the back half of the Monday Nighter to finish it off here. Last game on the week 1 card, 481, 482, Tennessee versus Denver, a mile high here. We're seeing some opinion in the marketplace here, anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 on the Broncos, 42 being the total.
Yeah, the 1.5 to 2.5, it just means that some books have teaser protection, some books don't.
Okay.
It's not, when you talk about when one book's at 4.5 and another book's at 5.5, it's nothing. The 1.5, 2.5 is nothing. They get one bet, they'll move it to, they'll move it up or down. That said, 3.5 months ago with Denver, 2.5, total of 42, and I said, boy, that number looks a little bit high to me. So we have seen a little bit of Titans money, but not a ton of Titans money. I'll tell you, if you want to bet on teams, these might be too bad. I like what I'm seeing out of Denver. Okay, I'm a little bit worried about some of the opt-out situations, but I like that defense and I like the looks, and the reports on lock have been really good. And Tennessee was this team last year that no one believed and no one paid any attention to, and all they did was make everybody money down the stretch. And when you read the AFC South and all the previews of the AFC South, everybody gets hype, and Tennessee's, the Titans, they'll be okay. They'll be 500. I can't believe that. No one's going to do what they did last year. And I understand they got a running back that has been key, and he's coming off 380 carry series this season, and nobody does that back to back. I still think Tennessee might be pretty good, and the markets do too. We are seeing at least some modest Titans money coming for week 1. So next week let's go through the win totals. and talk
Yeah,
about
that's what I was thinking.
Today we went through the week one lines, and I thought it was a worthwhile exercise. Next week we'll talk about the 32 teams to go through every win total, where it was, where it is, where it's moving, and maybe we'll give you guys a couple of thoughts.
That's what I was thinking too, Teddy. So next Monday, guys, 10 a.m. Pacific time, right here, Wager Talk YouTube channel, podcast, sportsmemo.com. We're going to go over the season win totals here, get Teddy's opinion. We'll have update on his season win total report. So come back and join us. Teddy, anything else you want to throw out before we shut this down?
Well, I'm just looking at the comment from Daniel.
Okay.
I really appreciate the comments, guys, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can on the show. It's good stuff, and I thank you for being a part of the show. But he's talking about taking the Broncos as long as they have the underdog, getting plus money on the money line. Denver's the favorite in week one. If you're going to lay with the Broncos, you're laying 2.5. You're laying $1.40, $1.40, $1.30, $1.40 range on the money line in that contest. So I agree that the stock on Denver is really low. Unfortunately, they play Monday Night Football week one, and if they kill somebody, we might lose that value. So I'll actually root for Tennessee that game. If I don't have action, I will be rooting hard for Tennessee because Denver's a team I expect to make money with this year. I'd love to see them look bad on national TV.
Okay, Teddy. And actually, my plan was to hit the chat box here at the end and answer any questions. So do you have 5 minutes? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so starting at the top here, guys, and go ahead and throw out any questions in the chat box. Anything works. NFL is better, but we'll try to answer anything. Brian asking, CFL just canceled the season. Do you think that has any impact on the NFL or no way?
It's not good, but the CFL canceled their season citing financial losses. The NFL is not going to do that. They were trying to get a loan from someone.
From the
government, wasn't it? Yeah, the government turned them down. So the NFL is not taking cues from anybody. Okay. I don't think that affects the NFL season one iota. What will affect the NFL season is if there are multiple outbreaks and multiple teams can't play.
Okay, and you don't think the NFL will be, watching, maybe like CNN and, oh my gosh, they're using full pads and they got more testing positive and we really got to watch out. You think they're turning that kind of stuff off?
The NFL is going to do their own things and they're going to answer. They're going to answer to their own critics. You understand? I mean, the NFL is not worried about what the critic. They're not worried about what the naysayers are saying. They're saying we're running this, multi-billion-dollar corporation, and F all y'all, we're going. So, for what it's worth, I don't expect that to be. It's not good news, but I don't think it has any impact on what's going to happen in the NFL.
Okay, we got Steamy Nick saying, "Do you think New England will take the East?"
That is a hard question. If I was making a bet on to win the division, I would probably have to bet Buffalo. And don't know that I'm ready to fade the Patriots. Any way, shape, or form that you've tried to fade Bill Belichick over the last 20 years has failed. And there are better teams that I want to there are, especially in a situation where the markets aren't looking at New England as like, oh, wow. The markets are looking at New England like, you lost all these guys and then all these guys opted out and your schedule's harder than et cetera, et cetera. We're not seeing any more market respect from the Patriots now than we have in years past in recent seasons. And it's been a pretty good bet in recent seasons. Mustache.
That's from our buddy Chris there in Detroit. And I mean, he's got the fans behind him. When we were talking about the better quarterback, Minshew or Phillip Rivers, I would take Minshew.
Dude, if Minshew's a star, he will be a huge star because everybody likes the guy, and he has the best mustache since Raleigh Fingers.
It is pretty good.
And every time you see him, you just think of that Family Guy. Mustache.
Yeah, for sure. We got Tony saying, "I live in Vegas. What offshore can I use?" Any comments there?
So legally, you can't use any.
That's true.
Gray area, you can use whichever ones you want to.
Yeah, I don't think Vegas would matter in Vegas or Florida or Texas.
It's not like people are getting prosecuted for making wagers at offshore venues. So legally you can't use any of them. Gray area, you can use whichever ones you want to.
Okay.
Talk about, and then again, I don't want to give recommendations for offshore books. We did, however, mention BetChris and Pinnacle as both being market leaders who often, if you look in Chris and Penny are off the rest of the market's moving where Chris and Penny already are.
And Teddy, we got Mike asking, isn't Bridgewater one of the best ATS QBs in the NFL? And I can piggyback off of that. How much do you factor in ATS past record success?
Bridgewater has been, I believe, if you're looking at winning percentage, I don't think there's anyone better than Teddy Bridgewater, ATS, in the NFL right now. However, that's looking in the wrong direction.
Okay.
You don't want to look backwards. We want to look forwards. We don't want to be reactive to what we've already seen. We want to be proactive to what's going to happen this year. I am not bullish on Teddy Bridgewater's chances with this Carolina Panthers offense. Him learning a new offense with a new coach, new coordinators, in a season where there is no normal offseason. I think Carolina's up against it a little bit, and I'm not expecting Bridgewater's past ATS success to continue in 2020.
Okay, we got Gonzo in Chicago saying, Teddy, how will the Bears QB situation pan out?
Hey, Gonzo. Good to see you, my friend.
You know him?
Of course I do. Yeah, that's my buddy.
Okay.
He says, feed me quick, but he is a Bears fan. So let me start with this. I'm a little bit bullish on the Bears. I think the Bears might be better than expected. And people are looking at Chicago and going, well, what happened last year has to happen this year. I don't think that's necessarily the case. All the reports on Trubisky have been positive. It's now or never time for a QB in a contract year with a reasonable backup behind him. If Trubisky has any hope of being an NFL starting quarterback, it's now or never. And I think he's capable. And when you look at the receiving core and you look at the offensive line and you look at a defense and say the Bears don't have to score 5 touchdowns a game to win, I wouldn't be surprised if Trubisky plays and plays fairly well. I make him the favorite to be the week 1 starter and make him the favorite moving forward. And I like what I've been reading about Mitch Trubisky thus far. Thanks for the question, guys.
Steamy Nick saying, do you guys cover Rookie of the Year or MVP odds? Yes, we have in the past, but not big fans of them because the takeout is so much on those type of bets. Anything to add to that, Teddy?
We've talked about both of them on the show. I personally would never make either bet. Anytime you're looking to make a bet, all right, your best case scenario is option A, option B. Yes, no. Will they make the playoffs? Will they go over 7.5 wins? Will they cover the spread at 7? At 6.5 or not? Will they go over or under the total? 2 options. Your standard takeout, -110 either way. Once you start getting into the 4 options, who's going to win the division, and all the teams are listed to win the division, and you get into the 10 options of who's going to win this award, your house takeout doesn't just go up in increments; it goes up enormously. So when you're talking about how to be a profitable long-term bettor and make bets on who's going to win Rookie of the Year or who's going to win MVP, they're not beatable. They're not beatable markets. So I don't get involved with them. I wouldn't talk you out of making your own bets. It's not something that I would do, ever, basically. I can't think of a situation where I don't ever remember making a Rookie of the Year bet or an MVP bet. I really don't.
Yeah, and just to add on to what Teddy's saying, some of those guys, when it's selection is 50 guys or even more, that takeout for the sports book on that is sometimes upwards of 40%. So when you start talking about what's more, it's just so expensive to make that bet.
Yeah, you're laying. I've seen odds like this with the equivalent of laying -180. But if you think someone's going to win the MVP, bet them over their win total. That's one way to get at it. That would stand out to me as a way to, and again, you're not going to get those big payouts. I'm not looking for those big payouts. This is a grind. This is a slow and steady wins the race. This is if you cash the 50-1, it's wonderful to cash the 50-1. The question is, how many losing bets did you make to cash that 150-1? A lot of times you made 50 bets, it ends up being not much. So, we talk about it, but and if you have a specific question, I'm happy to answer it, but it's not any bet that I make.
Teddy, we got another question here from CGC fan. How many wins will the Cardinals get, or how many can they get? So what do you think the high end is for the Arizona Cardinals? Do you think they could be a Super Bowl contender?
So let me get their schedule real quick.
Because they are a fascinating handicap, man. I mean, you know, obviously a lot of people like him, and that's not really a profile I look for. They got a lot of kind of names that sound sexy, but you know, putting that to wins on the football field at the NFL level doesn't always translate.
And they were a bad defensive team last year, and I'm not convinced that they're going to be even league average defensively this year. I don't look at Arizona's upside as being Super Bowl caliber upside. I really don't. I don't think they have the defense for it. Okay. And I know you say, well, KC won the Super Bowl. KC won the Super Bowl. Number one is that KC had a defense that got better. They had a pass rush.
Mm-hmm. Really
number two is that KC had the best quarterback alive right now. And if Kyler Murray can become Patrick Mahomes in year two, you know, we can start talking about some upside for Arizona. But let's also not forget that is a brutal division. Seattle's still good. You know, San Fran is still good. And the Rams are a team that, like Chicago, I'm a little bit higher on the Rams, I think, than the general public and then the broader market. I think the Rams might end up being pretty good. So it's not like Arizona's got a ton of easy games. That being said, on paper, their schedule is a little bit easier than it was last year. Last year, they were really up against it SOS-wise. This year, it's still an above-average, tougher strength of schedule, but it's not as brutal on paper as it was a year ago. But Arizona, I would expect them to finish fairly close to their win total, 7-9, 8-8 type of team.
All right, Teddy, we got Lord Craig asking, when betting underdogs, what qualities do you look for, or is it always just how teams match up? And Teddy, this brings me back to 4 or 5 years ago. I asked you a question like this, looking to bet Appalachian or App State versus Tennessee one time, and you gave me a great answer that stuck with me. In that at the college level, you don't look for teams that are going to fight the good fight and then kind of give it up defensively. You want an underdog at the college level that can go down and score points against the bigger foe, and that always stuck with me. And I like that profile. Do you take anything from that and bring it to the NFL? And do you still have that sentiment?
So in college, absolutely. You know, and that was I appreciate you bringing that up because it's worth talking about on a collegiate level when you get the plus 27 dog, you
right.
know, and if you know they're not going to get stops, but can they? As long as the offense has a chance to put the biscuit in the basket, you have a chance to cash your ticket, and the team's going to stay mentally in the game. When the offense is just going 3 and out against that elite defense, eventually the D wears down and you end up losing 56-0. So with the bigger dogs in college, I'm very much worried about what they're doing offensively. The NFL is a completely different animal in terms of how the handicap goes. I mean, I don't handicap NFL or college the same way, or even close to the same way. NFL has a number of different factors. Whereas there are certainly things that are, and you can go back and take a look at some of the 101 videos that he with Minty talking about. This is what I'm looking at in college football. This is what I'm looking at in the NFL. But it's not a situation where I'm approaching my underdogs this way and my favorites this way in the NFL. No, I'm looking at the game. I'm handicapping the game. And if I think the underdog is live, I'm interested in the underdog. I'm going to bet the underdog. If I don't think the underdog is live, then we look at the favorite side. But it's not something in particular for dogs that I'm trying to find. It's simply the matchup itself. And the situation itself. The NFL is a very situational handicap.
Okay. And, guys, we're running up against it time-wise here, but a couple, I guess, just a question to end it. We got Enrique saying, will Raiders defense give their offense more scoring chances this season? Also, CG fan saying, which team you think is a surprise team in wins this year, Teddy?
So will the Raiders defense give their offense more scoring? It has to. Oakland's defense didn't give them any scoring chances last year. So one would think that there will be some improvement in terms of turnover margin, some improvement in the ability to create turnovers and create short fields. That's certainly, I would expect. I don't know that Oakland's going to be. I don't think Oakland's going to be elite. Oakland, Vegas is going to be elite. But I do think they have a chance to be a 9-7 type of team. I would, that is contending for a wild card berth. I wouldn't look past that. There was another question.
The VR one?
The Enrique.
Oh, Enrique. Yeah, you hit on that one.
Oh, I did? Okay.
Yeah, will the Raiders defense give their offense?
Oh, okay. Oh, that was okay. That was
only one way to go.
Yeah, exactly. It's not likely to get a whole lot worse. It's not been a good defense in recent years. This year should be at least a little bit better.
Okay, and Daniel saying it's commentary like this that makes Teddy the best handicapper in the industry. Teddy Covers at Teddy_covers on Twitter. Teddy, have at that one. And any closing thoughts here, man?
Just last thing, CGC's fan. Wish you, I think, is a surprise team and wins. Mm-hmm. Got to get my win report for that one, buddy. Yeah. Well, we got to hype it a little bit. And again, the goal is for next Tuesday. For the win report. We'll talk about it again next Monday and be sure about that. But that's my goal, is to have it out. It's always reasonably priced, and whatever, Drew, you can hype it better than I can. But good question, CGC, and we'll talk about win totals next week for sure, start to finish on the OLR.
Yeah, and appreciate everybody in here, guys. Andrew, Daniel, Gonzo, Enrique, all you guys, Mike Campbell, for chiming in on the chat box. Always fun. CGC fan with which team you think is a surprise team and wins. That was my outro, Teddy. Next week, we're breaking it down, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Wager Talk YouTube channel, the podcast as well, wherever you download your podcast. And guys, reminder, 88-40, 69%. That's Teddy's season win total, win percentage there, going back to 2001. So a long track record. 88-40 will be up within the next 2 weeks. Sportsmemo.com. Only 4 losing seasons in that time frame, and none of them back-to-back. Teddy is off of a losing season. 13-3 with the big tickets. So check it out, sportsmemo.com, within the next 2 weeks. And guys, we'll be back next week, same time, same place, breaking down the season win totals in the NFL. NFL's right around the corner, guys. So hold on here. First day in pads is today. So it's right around the corner. Teddy, always fun, man. Next week we will be back. So follow him on Twitter at Teddy_covers. And guys, check out the package, sportsmemo.com. Thanks for joining us, guys. Best of luck with your bets, and we'll talk next week. NFL opening line report, season wins. Be good, guys.